It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
The Health in the Real World podcast is sponsored by...
My name is Randy Herring, and I'm the author of The Fitness Mindset, 7 Habits for Peak Performance. Buy my book to build strong, healthy habits and transform your mind and your body.
Hello and welcome to Health in the Real World. I'm Chris Janke, joined today by Lola Mormino. Lola has been fighting since she was born. She's been battling. She was born with cancer. We'll talk about that a little bit. Worked through an autoimmune disease. She had hip surgery, almost lost her life in 2018, and much more. Hockey player. She was training for the Olympics. Because of all these obstacles, she was taught at a very young age how to work through real world situations. And now she's a gym owner and a trainer down in the Los Angeles area and here to share her story today. Lola, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, tell us a little bit of more of a story about how you got to where you are now. You're a gym owner now. Talk about the Olympic training, anything you want to dive into about that as far as an introduction.
Yeah. So like you said, I was born with cancer. So from day one, I was working through things that most people might not work through in their lifetime. I obviously don't remember too much about the cancer because it was when I was born, but it was stage 4 and they were almost certain they were going to lose both my mom and I. So it was a pretty intense situation at such a young age. And luckily the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, they fixed it all. It was a 2.5-pound tumor attached to my tailbone. They had removed that, and that was all healed. They removed that and the tailbone actually, because that was where like the base of the cancer had started. Mm-hmm. During that removal surgery, I had the IV in my wrist, and that IV slipped out of my vein during the surgery and went on my arm to give me calcium burns all up my arm. It's like 3-degree burns. It used to be a scar all the way up my forearm, but now it's just on my wrist here. It shrunk, which is nice. I love it. But so that was day 1. Well, actually day 1 to day 4 or so. And yeah, that was pretty intense for sure. But I think that definitely shaped me immediately into who I am now. And so from birth until age 7, I definitely had some, autoimmune diseases ranging from whooping cough to swine flu, stuff like that, when they were going around. And once I hit age 7, I lost my first tooth. And when I saw the blood, I had passed out. And so that kept happening a couple times. So we went to get it checked out. Turns out that was an autoimmune disease called vasovagal syncope. And that just means if you see blood get overheated, shocked, scared, stressed, you pass out.
Wow.
There was a period in 8th grade after dinner every night when I just passed out. They decided that was because of stress with school and just that time of my life. I was trying to grow up and figure myself out. It was literally every night that I just kept passing out. It was almost like a routine. I finish dinner and I sit for a little bit. I try to start my homework, and then that was it.
Wow.
So that lasted from ages 7 to 15. And once I hit age 10, that's when I might get these two mixed up. I forget which one came first, but age 10, I passed out. And when I woke up, I couldn't feel my legs. And so that lasted for 3 weeks. I was paralyzed from the knees down. It was a viral infection that settled in my knees. And the doctors were like, we don't know what to do. Like, this could just be it for you. And they sent me home. And yeah, like I said, that lasted for 3 weeks. I was 10 and I was like, there's no way that this is it. Like I can't just be done with, use of my legs at such a young age. And I just started playing hockey at the time. So to hear that I can't use my legs when I just started something that I was really passionate about was heartbreaking. So they said you can try physical therapy, you can try doing things on your own, but they didn't really have much to help me with. So I got a physical therapist and was trying to do things on my own, also mentally just, telling myself I'm going to get better.
Yeah.
And yeah, after a couple weeks, the physical therapy started working. We started with like, manual movements and stuff. And then we progressed to, crawling. And it's literally just learning how to walk again, crawling. Yeah. I crawled to the pool to do like pool therapy in the shallow end, obviously. And then after one day, I tried standing up on my own. And I did. And so I like surprised my parents and they were freaking out because we were all not sure that that was going to happen again.
Wow. So
it was just a really surreal moment. Like I remember my dad's face so clearly because he had just came home and I was like, I want to show you something. And I stood up and he was like, oh my gosh. Like I was using the walker and everything, but then just kept progressing into now being able to use my legs again. And once I healed from that, I was like full force with hockey. I was like, I want to do everything with my legs, just run around, play, whatever. Yeah. And that was short-lived because at age 11, then I was getting really bad knee pains. No one understood why. No one believed me just because they couldn't find anything in my knee. They're like, oh, it's just in your head, which was very frustrating to hear over and over. Because I'm like, I promise you something's wrong. Like I feel it. And I know my body because I've been through things to help me learn my body fast.
Right.
Yeah. So once one doctor was like, before we leave this appointment, I'm just going to check your hip just to see if there's anything there. Turns out the ball on top of my femur was slipping off. And so it was like here, obviously supposed to be here, it started slipping. And so he was like, you got to go in tonight to the hospital and then the next day get your surgery. So I was like, I knew it. I knew there was something. Like I knew this. I kept trying to tell everyone. My family believed me. It was just doctors that couldn't find anything,
Yeah, right. Wow. So you've had quite a lot of, well, one near-death experience and then just extreme pain. Mm-hmm. I would imagine. And then you mentioned you played hockey at a very high level. I've talked to other athletes before who have gone through medical things before their sports. Mm-hmm. And they say that the reason why they were able to excel in sports was because even the hardest sports competition is a piece of cake compared to fighting for your life, right? It's like anything, like nothing that happens on the field is even going to come close, right?
Yeah. No, yeah. I felt the same way. That's how I look at things now. It's like, if a workout is challenging, I'm like, well, I mean, I would much rather be able to do this than not be able to walk. So he's like, pick your battles.
That's a great perspective. Well, that's a good segue because I wanted to talk about your workouts with your clients, because that is something that you can bring to people, that perspective. There is something valuable about having a hard life, or at least going through something challenging that you got out on the other side and you're that much stronger for it. And now that's something that you can impart into your clients. So what does that look like? Like, how do your training sessions look like? Like, what type of training do you do with your clients? How does that work?
It's very tailored to the person. So I train all kinds of people, ranging from general population to youth to athletes to my oldest client, 72. So I have a wide variety, and I'm just very empathetic and compassionate towards each person because everyone's different.
Yeah.
I can't give a football player the same workout I give to my 70-year-old client. It's just not going to work. But yeah, it's just very, very tailored to the person. And I like to learn about everybody and see what works best for them and what doesn't work for them. But it's about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, just depending on the intensity and how much of a rest they need in between. And when it comes to athletes, it's very sport specific to whatever sport they play and whatever goals they have. And with general population, same thing. It's just specific to what goals they have and also helping them with everyday life too. I mean, picking things up. I've had a lot of people come in saying they tried picking something up or they tried, you know, watering their plants or planting and everything, and they threw their back out. So I hear that, and I, make the workouts tailored to that. Or if they have a hobby, one of my clients loves golfing. If they have a golfing hobby, I like to make it specific towards that sometimes, just to give them a little bit more improvement in that so they can enjoy it more.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's awesome. When did you start thinking about becoming a trainer? Because I know you were really 100% into hockey. Actually, it's a similar story to me. I was trying to play semi-pro basketball, and in the process of getting in shape for that is when I really fell in love with the workout part of it. What did it look like for you? How did you get into it?
So 2018, I was training for the Olympics, which was a lot of everyday on ice, off ice training. And then my health got really bad in 2018. I almost lost my life, like I was telling you. That was from September of 2018 to December. Once I healed, and I healed everything like from my past, my childhood and stuff, I became kind of depressed because I was so used to living my life a certain way. So I gained a lot of weight. I resorted to food and just started binge eating, gained like 45 pounds. And so that was the whole year of 2019 basically was just a depressing time. And 2020, I was like, I have to switch something because I'm now doing this to myself. Like everything in my past was out of my control, but now I can control this. So what can I do to make it better? So I did a whole weight loss journey for myself. I fell back in love with the high intensity workouts and taking care of my body and stuff. And I was like, I love this so much. I want to share this with other people because I know a lot of people have those ups and downs. And it was hard for me to get out of it because I wasn't communicating about it to people. I knew I had a support system, but I wasn't communicating about it. So that's why I was like, I want to become certified so I can help others feel less alone and like they have a safe space to go to. So in 2020, I became certified. That was June. And started doing house calls, training people online. And then that took off. So I was like, I need to open a spot so everyone can come to one place. And
Nice.
April of last year, I opened, and now I'm sitting in my gym.
That's awesome. What part of LA are you in?
Actually, Westlake Village near Calabasas.
Oh, you're in so north.
Yeah, like Thousand Oaks area.
It's a nice area. Yeah. It's a really nice area. Cool. Wow. What question was I going to ask? I totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, I'm definitely familiar with that area. So, the gym, what types of equipment do you have? What's your focus inside the gym?
It's a lot of functional movements. I'm not like any power lift. I do have a trainer that works here that does powerlifting. So it's nice to have that to offer as well. But my main focus is just a lot of movement-based workouts, really focusing on the details from ankles to knees to hips, core, because those are the most important, in my opinion, the most important fundamentals in having a healthy life or having, good performance in your sport. Because with weak ankles, how are you supposed to, if you're walking on a sidewalk and it starts slanting, how are you supposed to keep yourself up? If you're playing basketball, and you have weak ankles, how are you supposed to change direction quick, that type of thing?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely big on the details. I incorporate some lifts as well, depending on the time of the year it is. If it's for athletes, off season, during season, and for general population, if they want to lift and they want to learn how to lift, we can definitely incorporate that. But I like to, same thing, just focus on movement-based training and really get their details healthy first.
Got it. Movement patterns. And yeah, the ankles are Not a lot of people go into the gym because they're like, I want to really just have some nice ankles. It's more, but definitely foundational. I can relate to the ankle thing too. My son actually just sprained his ankle a week or two ago. And I told him, I said, I feel your pain, buddy, because I've been there. I've sprained each ankle a good 10 times each. And so this is also giving him, he's only 10. So he hasn't had much adversity, but now I see him, he's like, oh man, I really have to be disciplined now and actually focus on this, because when he was little, it just came naturally to him. And now it's like, oh, now I have to be deliberate. And so we're doing all this rehab stuff and balancing and everything. And he's taken to it pretty well, which is nice. But I do agree with you. Those functional patterns for athletes and non-athletes, like you said, you're gardening and so many people throw out their back, or like I heard this recently, the most common way people hurt their shoulder is when they're driving and they reach to the back seat to hand something to somebody and they're just like, ow, oh my God. And they were handing them like an iPhone and they turned the wrong way. Right. So yeah, definitely very good. Those foundational movements are fantastic. So Lola, what would you tell somebody who maybe they used to be in shape, but let's say used to be in shape like 20 years ago or a while ago, and similar to you, where you were in really good shape and then you had your sort of like your rock bottom, you gained a lot of weight. What would you tell somebody who's in that situation? Like, what is the first step, the second step that you would recommend they start doing or thinking about?
I would say first, it's never too late to start again. I think that the first step to take is understanding where you're at and accepting where you're at. Because if you're not accepting where you're at and you don't forgive yourself, you can't move forward with something. Like if you're, having an issue with someone else and you can't forgive them, how are you supposed to progress in that relationship, friendship? So yeah, I would say the first step is just accepting that you're at where you're at and being okay with that, especially that you're wanting to do something about it. And another thing is just having a good support system. That's super important, because if I didn't have my family and my support system throughout my whole life, I definitely would not be here. I can confidently say that. And just speaking up about it, like it's okay and it's very normal to go through ups and downs, and it's nothing to beat yourself up over, because everybody goes through it. Like everyone goes through it. Great moments where you're feeling like you're just staying level, some moments where you might feel it's just like a roller coaster, and the biggest thing is just accepting that and being okay with where you're at, because it's going to get better. So I think those are definitely the biggest things I would say to keep in mind.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to give you a chance to go really big picture now. Let's say a university calls you in to give a commencement talk at their graduation, or maybe a business calls you to come in to give a talk. Go really big picture as far as life principles that have helped you overcome some of these challenges that you've been through. What would you tell these people on how to get the most out of your life?
I think the biggest thing is just being in the present. If you're focusing so much on the past or so much on the future, you're never gonna, get to where you want to be, because you're not focusing on what you're doing in that moment. I think that's definitely what got me through my challenges, just because if I was constantly thinking about what if this works, what if this doesn't work in the future, well, we don't know because we're not in the future. So just, focus on the moment, and in that moment, do your very best. And you can't beat yourself up for something that you tried your hardest on. If whether you fail, or if you learn a lesson, if you do what you wanted to do, as long as you tried your best, that's all that matters. So those are things that definitely got me to where I am now and where I'm going to be. So
nice. I like that. As long as you try your best, nothing else matters. That's true. There's only so many things we can control, and you can definitely control your effort.
Exactly.
Well, Lola, how do people get in touch with you? And what's the name of your gym? Website, online programs, anything that you have out there?
Yeah. So my gym name is Lola's House. It's pretty easy to remember. My website that I have is lolamorminofitness.com. And my Instagram is Lola__house. And my personal page is just Lola Mormino, my first and last name. So you can find me anywhere on there. I answer all my DMs, so I will be looking out for that. And my email is on my website page as well. So if you need to get a hold of me that way too, I'm happy to answer there as well.
Perfect. Sounds good. Well, Lola, we appreciate you joining us today on Health in the Real World. Again, I'm Chris Janke, joined today by Lola Mormino. Lola, thank you so much, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.